Hello and welcome to this month's sales tip, the sales tip for May 2018, and you find me on a rather lovely afternoon by the side of the Fazeley Canal here at Bodymoor Heath in the West Midlands, which has been the inspiration for this month's sales tip. More specifically, the inspiration comes from the reason why these waterways were built in the first place, because whilst you see leisure craft in the background there, and who knows, we might even see one going past shortly, that's not the reason that the canals were originally built. Of course, a long time ago, the only options you'd got to transport goods from one place to the other were either a waterway like this or something like a horse and cart. And waterways like this, the canal systems, were a lot more cost effective, but B, when you had valuable goods and goods that could be damaged in transit, these smooth waterways were of particular high value. The Stoke-on-Trent area, the Potteries, has got a big canal system, not surprisingly, because Wedgwood and other pottery manufacturers wanted to get their valuable cargo from one place to the other without it being damaged, which kind of begs the question, what has this got to do with sales? Well, actually, an enormous amount. If you're involved with account management, if you're involved with the winning of new business and then the passing on of that new customer to an account management team, it's of significance if you are changing territories or moving on or have a change of responsibility and you are passing on the customer from yourself to another person. Because unfortunately, that very, very precious commodity that we refer to as the customer, they can get damaged in transit, and it's really important that we ensure they have a smooth journey and don't get damaged as they go from one place to another, from one person to another. Now, obviously these days we've got CRM systems and places to record critical pieces of information, but I'm talking about a lot more than that maybe needs to get passed on from one person to another, so the relationship gets passed on from one person to another smoothly and the customer doesn't get damaged in transit. It's things like, how do they like being referred to? If they're called David, do they prefer David or Dave? Or indeed, are they a really formal person and would prefer to be called Mr. something? Does somebody called Joanne like to be called Joanne or Joe or Miss or Mrs? What exactly? Are they the sort of person who prefers to be contacted via email? Or do they prefer always a phone call? Or maybe even Skype? Who knows? Are they the sort of person who actually prefers to be contacted in the morning when they're not too busy? Or do they prefer contact in the afternoon? Or, and this is certainly the case in my world with a lot of the sales directors I interface with, do they actually prefer to have a conversation outside of normal office hours when they are perhaps a little bit more free of time and therefore a little bit more relaxed and able to have a conversation? It's all of these subtleties in terms of managing the relationship that can make the difference. Because, you know, the last thing you need, the very last thing you need, is when a relationship passes on from one person to another, and let's say, for instance, you ring up in the morning and you say, hello, is that Dave? And they say, well, no, actually, I prefer David, please, and I would have preferred it if you'd have rung me up in the afternoon. Why do I always get this every time I move from one person to another in the organisation? It really irritates. And there we go. That precious cargo has become damaged in transit. So, the sales tip for this month. Inspired by, well, not specifically the Fazeley Canal here in the West Midlands, but the canal system in general, we have a responsibility to make sure that precious cargoes are not damaged in transit, the most valuable of which are our customers. Please do everything you can to ensure that they have a smooth journey as they move from one person to another within your organisation. Take the trouble to proactively contact the person who's going to start interfacing with them. Take the trouble to ensure they know everything they need to, so the customer has a seamless, smooth journey through your organisation. And hopefully nothing will get damaged in transit. I hope that makes sense. Look forward to seeing you next month.